hop right in. All right, so the ones I know we're not going to get over probably go through all these today. We might, there's only 5 case studies, but it just depends on how the discussion goes or how easy they are or how hard, whether we get through all of them. But these are some of the areas that we're going to be focusing on: duty to warn, duty to protect, confidentiality, reporting a colleague. A lot of you had questions about that. Some of you were answering the question extremely well, and you knew exactly when you report, when you bypass going to a colleague directly versus when you go to them directly. That's really, really important to know. Also, gifts and boundaries, dual relationships, informed consent. People just get tricked up with these things. So I just wanted to make sure we had a better understanding as it pertains to these ethical dilemmas and situations. So this is the first one. If someone wants to read this one out, and then we'll do the questions together and go from there.
Clinical social worker in private practice is treating a 34-year-old male client for intermittent explosive disorder and severe depression. During a session, the client becomes highly agitated, stating that his girlfriend just started dating a local guy and that he can't let that happen. When the social worker asks for clarification, the client says, "I have a registered handgun and I know exactly where they'll be tonight. He's not going to take her from me." Then the client abruptly stands up, refuses to discuss the matter further, and walks out of the office before the session is over.
Right, let's have a discussion about that. All right, so we know what's going on in that scenario. Now I want to know, what should the social worker do first? So I'll let you guys read the options if you feel you have it. All right, anybody think they know what the answer is? I saw somebody come off mute, or heard someone come off mute.
Maybe A first, then call the police.
Okay, so this is the first question. So you're saying first we contact the ex-girlfriend to warn her, and next we call the local police. That's the order we're gonna go in. You're saying, is that Tiara?
Yes, this is Tiara.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? She gave us her first and next option. Let's hear from somebody else. Who else? Dora.
Okay. Think. Sorry.
Go ahead, Monte. I had asked Dora, but go ahead, Monte, because you came off mute. Go ahead, Monte, and then the next person.
No, I'm sorry about that. But I was supposed to say, my first thought was C, because of the client storming off and not having basically not having detailed, still missing some detailed information.
Okay. So you're saying you're going to call the client's cell phone and try to calm them down a little bit and see what's going on. Okay. All right. That's Monte. Who else? Someone else came off mute and was sharing theirs. I didn't get your name because I'm not able to see who jumps off just yet.
It's me, Janae.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm with Monte. I'll say C, and then my next one probably would be A. Duty to warn. So yeah, I'm with him when he said, he stormed out. So maybe at least try to get a full assessment of the situation and collect, everything we need to know. But it is a very high risk situation, so I still would go with C.
Still would go with C. Okay. And Nina, you were saying C too? I saw you doing the thumbs up.
Yes. I agree.
C. Okay. I can tell you what the answer is and we can discuss it, or we can just move through this scenario and do the answers at the end, because they don't show the answers on the next screen. I didn't do it that way. So before we even process that, I want to look at this scenario again. We have this 34-year-old male. He has intermittent explosive disorder and severe depression. He's in a session. He gets really agitated. He says that his girlfriend just started dating a local guy and he can't let that happen. When the social worker asks for clarification, he says, "I have a registered handgun and I know exactly where they'll be tonight. He's not going to take her from me." The client then abruptly stands up, refuses to discuss the matter any further, and walks out the office before the session is over. So I have half of you guys that are going to say, what's the guy? It didn't tell us his name. We're going to call him Charlie. They're like, Charlie. They're going to keep calling Charlie on the phone, or call him and say, "Hey, calm down. I know you're upset. Come back. We need to talk about this. We need to do an assessment. I need to figure out, if you're really going to kill this person." That's what I'm hearing you guys say for C, because we got a lot of people going for C. Then I hear some of you guys saying you're going to hear that information, you're going to pick up the phone, you're going to call 911 and say, "Look, my client was just in here and they said da-da-da-da-da-da-da," and go from there. And then I hear some of you saying you're going to hang up, he already left, you're not going to do all that, you're going to call the ex-girlfriend and say, "Hey, I was just meeting with blah, 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 and he has a handgun. He said he knows where y'all live, and he's actually coming up to the place tonight, and he's gonna blah, blah, blah." And according to, was it Janae? No, the first person that answered. I'm trying to remember your name, the first person. The first person said that will be the first thing they do, and then the next. I don't think it was Janae. I forgot who said that. But so the first thing, we're gonna do that, and then the next thing, they're gonna call the police. So that's the order of operations that we have so far. No one? I thought someone else was going.
The way you
like explained it right. So with the call, like now I want to change my answer because the way you had said it, it does sound kind of silly. So now I feel like I would want to go with A.
Okay. I did show the answers on the end of this. I literally, before I got on the call with you guys, I had this on a Word document and I had it changed with one of the AI tools to make it more interactive. So they did change the answers on the form. That's why I wasn't sure, because while I was talking to you guys and multitasking, doing something else, I was trying to see if it can change it for me. So it's not the Word document. The Word document has them at the end and I had that printed out. But yeah, it did what it was supposed to do. All right. So yes, the answer is A. It meets the TerraSoft threshold. It has a specific threat. You have an identifiable victim. We know it's the ex-girlfriend. They have a handgun that's registered and it's imminent. We already know they're doing it tonight. So at least normally when it comes to the duty to warn, it's a wrestle between A or B. I didn't even think about C being an option, calling the man. He has intermittent explosive disorder. He's upset. He leaves out the office, like calling him and trying to like he could just, like you said, do or hurt somebody in the passing or something because you're trying to call him and calm him down and he's just reactive. So I wouldn't have thought about that. But A and B were really, really tough. What do you do first? In ASW and when you're studying the code of ethics, they always want us to notify the victim and then next we'll contact the police. Because in this case, we could tell this person, hey, he has a handgun, he has this. She can go to protect herself and do what she needs to do and then let her know, hey, we're going to call the police. They're going to probably follow up with you. We're going to give them all the details we know. But right now, while we're calling the police, think about it like this. While we're calling the police officer and saying, hey, this is a situation I have, he could already have made it to the girlfriend and did whatever to her. So we need to let the intended victim know. That's what TerraSoft says do. We need to let them know what's happening, what's coming down the pipe, and then we can call emergency services and have them do whatever. So always think about it. It's those three things: specific threat, identifiable victim, and a specific means and imminent timeline. He said tonight. So we already know he's gonna, he said tonight, he might do it right there in that moment, but he has an idea and a plan that is gonna happen today. So please guys, keep that in mind. That comes up, a lot of people get tricked up when it comes to that TerraSoft. And that is literally the case that took place where somebody was in therapy and said they were gonna kill someone. The therapist, made note of it or did whatever they did, but they didn't act on it, and the person actually killed the intended victim. So that's why it's really important for us to understand and know how to move forward when it comes to stuff like that. All right, let's knock out another one. So this is after we've already taken initial emergency steps. The social worker realizes the client's ex-girlfriend is also a former client of the same agency. What is the most appropriate way to handle the documentation of this event? So now she's getting ready to document and she's looking like, oh snap, she's a ex-client of ours. A former client of ours, and so forth. So what do we do here? Do we document the threat and actions taken in the current client's record only? Do we document the threat in both the current client's record and the ex-girlfriend's former clinical record? Or do we create a separate incident report and avoid placing any details in the clinical records to protect confidentiality?
I think it's C.
I went with A.
A? All right. So we got C and A. But anybody think of something else? Anybody thinking B? All right. So we're ruling out B completely. So right now it's A and C. Let me hear from some other people before we flip over this answer.
I will go with A.
Thinking A.
Okay. We got a few A's now. Keon, I haven't heard from you. What do you think?
I would say C for confidentiality reasons.
You're saying which one?
C.
Okay, you're saying C. Okay. All right. So we got C on the table. We got A, we got C, a few C's, and I would say a few A's and a couple of C's. Belinda.
I'm gonna go with A.
All right, Belinda's going with A, and Corinne, you be the last one. You going with
A as well.
A? All right. Document in the current client's file. So that is what we're doing. That is a priority. Just document in the file. We don't need to put in her file. That's not an issue. No longer client. That's whatever's happening. All right. So the other one, a separate incident report only, like not wanting to put it in the clinical file. Like this is really important. We definitely want to make sure we have that documentation in there. I know someone said C for confidentiality, like don't put it in the report, but this is a huge situation and event, and we want to make sure we document it in that record because this also talks about his intermittent explosive disorder, how he was upset, how he left the office, what he shared, all of that stuff.
A social worker recently hired at a community mental health center notices that their clinical supervisor, a seasoned LCSW, frequently arrives late to supervision sessions smelling of alcohol. During a case consultation, the supervisor provides clinical directions that directly contradict the NASW Code of Ethics regarding client autonomy. When the social worker attempts to discuss these concerns, the supervisor becomes defensive and reminds the social worker that they are still under probationary review for their new position.
So what should the social worker do first? Should they file a formal complaint with the state licensing board? regarding the supervisor's impairment and unethical guidance. Should they discuss the concerns directly with the supervisor's immediate manager or agency's clinical director, or should they seek a private meeting with the supervisors to express concerns about their well-being and the impact of supervision?
C.
Okay, got it.
I go
I'm
with
gonna
C.
go with C as well.
See, all right.
I would do C, but I think because she's a supervisor, I don't know, B kind of looks good just because of their position, but everybody's different. Not everybody likes confrontation or
Correct. So to talk about this one, not to spend too much time on it, it has the key considerations that's chopping off on the other side. So I definitely have to fix this PowerPoint before I send it to you guys. But the correct one is C, seek a private meeting with the supervisors to express concerns. Of course, the NASW wants you to always direct your attention to the colleague first. Now, this individual does not meet those criteria that we were talking about in that message when you guys were trying to figure out when do you not go to the coworker or the colleague first. So these are two different things. So to address what's happening right now, this is the supervisor. So what Dora was saying is absolutely correct. I can see the argument on it, just depending on how the question is worded and what it says. If you went to this person and they were argumentative, didn't want to be receptive, you felt like it was a threat or a problem, going to their immediate supervisor would be the ideal thing to do because they are in a position of power. So it could go a whole different way. So that is something you want to really be careful of the verbiage and how it's worded on the test. But like you said, it is a person in power, it is a supervisor, and normally not going to your supervisor and confronting them would be the ideal thing to do. But in this case, it's like, let's just have a private meeting and just express your concerns. If things go sideways, then you're definitely moving on to the next level and going to their manager and so forth. So definitely look at the wording of it and understanding of this. Now, the question we had in the community, I don't know if you guys remember that one, but I was asking you guys, not so much for the question, because we did the question a few weeks back and someone had asked about it, but the question was, when do you bypass going to the person directly? And we got a lot of mixed answers on that. Does anybody know when do you bypass going to the person directly?
An LCSW practices in a small rural community where they are only mental health providers within 50-mile radius. A local business owner who also serves on the town council with the social worker spouse seeks therapy for depression. The social worker realizes they frequently interact with the potential client at community events and that their children attend the same small school. The client is aware of these connections but insists on receiving services from the social worker due to the lack of other local options.
You guys ready? What's the most appropriate action for the social worker to take regarding the potential dual relationship? Do they A, decline to provide services to the new client to avoid any possibility of a dual relationship or conflict of interest? B, do they accept the new client but avoid discussing the existing client or their shared social circle during sessions? Or C, do they disclose the potential for dual relationships to both parties and obtain informed consent to proceed with treatment?
C.
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 C is in Charlie?
Yes.
All right, anybody else? Okay, so let's see. These situations come up all the time where you're going to be working with clients. There's no other therapist nearby. You guys know I'm always using Virgin River as an example, or like Sweet Magnolias, those shows where there's only one person in town that can help or do these things. So that is something to consider. You always want to discuss the potential for a dual relationship with a client and kind of discuss, give them those options and stuff to make a decision.
Right.
But you always discuss that.
I picked B because on C it said discuss with both parties.
Yeah, it doesn't have, if you go back to the answers, it's not.
Oh, there's
it's
kind of
worded.
blended. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like it says B, you're going to discuss the potential, but that's not an option up here the way the wording is. It's
Okay.
mixing those two questions. That's why I said I don't want to confuse you guys.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, this one says, after several months, the social worker realizes that their child and the client's child have become close friends. What is the most ethical way to manage this ongoing dual relationship? Do you terminate the therapeutic relationship immediately and refer the client to a provider in the neighboring town to eliminate the conflict? Do you discuss the situation with the client, document a plan to maintain boundaries and continue to monitor the potential impairment? Or do you instruct the child to end the friendship to protect the professional integrity of the therapeutic relationship?
I would do B.
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 B, correct. So the correct answer is B as in Bravo, but again, it did show correct on this one. I was gonna say for me, it shows a different answer option on my original one. But yep, discuss the situation with the client, document a plan to maintain boundaries, and continue to monitor for potential impairment. You guys got it.